So here to solve this Aqre puzzle by JinHoo Ahn called Plus, and the theme is driven by these shapes I've colored in, 8 distinct plus shapes around the grid. But notice that even these corner groups, which have 8 total cells, will play a key part in the solve. And one thing, if you're just going through the grid and saying which groups are most interesting, it's often the groups that are fully empty. So here's a fully empty group from the clue 0. Here's a full group from that clue 5. Here's a group that's going to have just one cell off of it, and so it's a place to draw your attention, just like this 4 at the top. But some solvers may miss that this 7 in the upper right corner is just as interesting. It's actually a case where 8 total cells are in that region, and so we're going to have one empty cell to fill in. We can't have 4 in a row, so the empty cell will be in this space, and we also can't have 4 in a row here, so the empty cell will be this space, and those intersect in one cell. And so actually the 7 is just as easy, if you're familiar with Aqre puzzles, as some of these other groups, once you recognize it's a key region and is fairly constrained. And so this pattern is one of the ones you can actually also put in to get started here. If you see, this pattern actually helps a lot of things come faster than otherwise. For instance, you can mark off these cells, and that now makes this 4 a completable group that marks off this cell. And if I'm just actually going around the grid, putting in this 5 has a 3 in a row, so no 4 in a row for these cells. These empties have these as full spaces. And so this is a good stage for us to be as we really get into the puzzle. That 3 now has just 3 cells left for it, so mark those in. That marks this off for a no 3x3. And it looks like this is a good stage to really think hard about now the lower right. And we may not have flagged this at the start as a key space, but it is somewhat full now. It's got 2 cells completed, so 2 more to place. And we should ask, do these connect through this corner? That's taking 5 cells, not 4 cells, and it's still not connecting to the rest of the Aqre. And so this cell has to escape to the left, this cell to the top, and everything else is marked in green as unreachable. And seeing that, now this 4 has to continue and extend. That completes this 3 group, reaches to the center, closes this off. This group also has to extend and get into this big 4 clue. And so it at least takes this cell from the no 3 in a row, and we'll take 2 more in the space. So this is probably the sticking part where beginners will have to think of something different to get to the next stage. And this is where sometimes what I'll say is think about connectivity. We've got this group at the top and this group at the bottom. And you can ask, like, is connectivity possible through the left side, like taking these cells in red? And in doing that, we would have to take at least 4 in a row. So connectivity can't be through red. So the only way that a cell like this is getting through the rest of the grid is probably here. And now this is still part of a group that's not yet joined to this top group, also through here. And so it's a natural place to make some headway if you're used to thinking about connectivity, to see that these cells must be shaded in, this cell must be shaded off. Having marked this cell in, we now have 2 more cells to go here, and one will have to be marked off. We don't know if it's this one or this one yet, but for sure we're shading this. And in marking this in, we now can get to the key constraint that gets us the bottom, which is if we took this cell, we would actually have this unreachable for 4 in a row, and this plus shape is complete. We have 4 shaded clues, and so this is isolated and not going to work. So the bottom cell here is unused, this is used, no 4 in a row puts this in, this 2x2 connecting puts this in, and now we have to figure out, how do I actually get 4 cells in this shape and 3 cells in this shape to finish the puzzle. If the cells are coming from the left side, we can take 1 and 2, and then we have to mark them off. So if 2 can come from the left, over here 2 can come from this side. We still have the case we have to at least shade something in this space, or we're going to have too many in a row. And so if they only come from the right side, we'd have to do this, and now we'd have all of these left, and that's not going to work. And so we do actually have to take at least 1 up here. And that now gives us a similar kind of constraint of, like, we don't want all 4 of these to be unused, and we can only take 3 cells from this side, so we do have to take this cell. And so the 2 upper left and lower right corners work together to put in this pattern. We get these 3 in the middle and these unusable cells. And we basically only have 2 more cells we can take from the side, and in this case 3 cells now complete that we can take from that side, and so we finish those corners. And the no 3x3 rule has completed the grid, so we had all the shaded cells marked. So an interesting puzzle, a great Tuesday for this style. If you're interested in Aqre puzzles in general, we've got a lot more coming, the Grandmaster Puzzles Quarterly Volume 5, so look for that this weekend. Or if you're watching this video in the future, it's probably already released. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you again soon.